Paul, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back on the podcast today. How you doing?
Good, Adam. It's always fun catching up with you from my friend from the other side of the pond.
Yeah, no, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and it's always great to connect with you. And we always have good chats. And before we start recording, we was talking about the topic to talk about, and you mentioned Christmas time. Christmas for a lot of people is enjoyable, but there are still people out there that it's a bit of a difficult time. They might be by themselves. They might have lost someone around that time. There's many different factors. I mentioned like the cost of living, things. Some people might not be in a situation where they can afford to get people certain things, or their kids might want certain things, and then all of that comes with it. Balancing everything out, trying to get it right. Yeah. So where would you think? Where do you want to start with that?
Yeah, well, let's just start with first. I've had friends of mine who've lost loved ones this year due to various things, and it's going to be hard for them for the Christmas spirit season. Get a lot of memories of past Christmases of spending together with those loved ones, and having that finality, that knowing that you won't be spending time with that person anymore. It's tough. It's devastating, and so a lot of us feel like we should just bottle that pain up and not tell anybody and just suffer through it until January 1st. And that's just not the way to do it. There's so many people out there that feel the same way that you have, that lost a loved one and don't know how to deal with it, and suffering in silence. The best thing to do is to reach out to a friend, reach out to a coach, reach out to a therapist, reach out to someone and express what's going on. It is not a weakness, it's a strength. When you can express something, a problem that you're feeling inside, and getting it out, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. So that's the message that kind of I want to talk about today with you, Adam, is that pain inside. And we all feel it. We all feel it. We all have had that pain. A lot of us have this idea that the Christmas season's got to be some sort of magical, perfect event. And it's not that way. We're human beings. That's impossible to have. So we have to embrace the imperfections of the holiday season to really enjoy the holiday seasons, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about the topic.
Yeah, no, I enjoy Christmas personally. I like the excitement of it, but then I think it can be quite a stressful time. You want to try and get things right for people. I don't know, like I think it's trying to manage, because cost of living's gone up in the UK and kind of pretty much everywhere. Things are more expensive, so it's like trying to balance things out more, and that can be quite stressful. So then we're not in debt or out of pocket, or we can manage okay whilst getting people things that are nice. But then like you said, I'm aware that there are people out there who might not have family or friends to go to. They might you know have lost someone who around the Christmas time, or just lost someone in general, and they want to spend that time with them, or they might have had a breakup, or people might not be in a financial place to be able to do certain things around that time or afford certain things. And I think it's a very tricky time for a lot of people. But I think, like you said, a lot of people, feel lonely, or, might need to be around people that they can trust, but they might not have people in their circle, or they might not feel like they can rely on certain people. But I think a lot of the time, people in that place, if you go to maybe a volunteering center or somewhere where other people are going around Christmas, you might be experiencing the same things that they are.
That's a great point that you brought up with the volunteering. Um, the easiest way to get out of a funk is help somebody else. And that's a perfect example of it. There's always somebody that has it worse than you do. And if you can go out and maybe buy a couple presents for some kids in orphanages, or volunteer at a local food bank, or whatever, or volunteer in the community, just by doing that, getting out of your own head and helping somebody else out, that's going to go a long way in the healing process. I think that is a huge thing, and I think that you'd bring up the present aspect of it, and and this might be kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's not really about. It shouldn't really be about the great present that you're buying. It should be the togetherness of the event, and whatever that you give the other person, if it's with love, it should be accepted that way, and it doesn't have to be a brand new Ferrari or whatever else kind of present that you feel that you want to give to somebody. It's more about the love that you can share with the other person. That's what's really about. And especially with this time, with you mentioned inflation, and I'm in the U.S. and I'm feeling it. I don't pretty bad myself, and I live in Southern California, which is a pretty high cost of living anyway on a good day. So it's tough, and I want to buy presents for a lot of people, but I have to be mindful about being on a budget. I'm an entrepreneur, and my income goes up and down, so I have to really look into that when I buy presents. But I just go into it with the idea of like, look, I'm giving this present with love, not so much that I'm trying to buy the biggest present. I'm not trying to compare myself to other people. I think that's part of the issue that we have during the holiday season. We try to compare ourselves to other families and what they're buying for their families, and then we feel inadequate if we're not buying the same level of presents for our friends, family, or kids, or whatever. And it's not shouldn't be about that. It should be about the love that you give. It shouldn't be comparing yourself to another family. It just be about your personal joy for the season. So that's what I feel on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really important point. And I think, like you said, a lot of people almost like competing, and they're judging sometimes based on the gifts that they receive or give and that kind of thing. And it doesn't always matter, like you said, it's those moments with those people. Um, and it's nice if you can give a gift, but that's not like the be all end all. And those moments of the people might be having a meal, might be telling someone that they're doing a great job this year. It doesn't have to be, like you said, something that's a materialistic item as such. It could be just giving someone a hug and saying thank you, or I think a lot of people put a lot of stress on items and things, and it's those moments and experiences that you have with people, isn't it? Because you can replace an item, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's going back to comparing yourself to other people and everything like that. But um, and it's also about having fun traditions that doesn't necessarily have to cost money. Like, one of the things that I love to do, and I sometimes do it by myself, is there's a place where I live where they have great Christmas lights, and there's days where I just walk the area and just look at the Christmas lights and watch the joy of the kids and the families enjoying the Christmas lights, and taking a walk. And a lot of people have hot cocoa and just kind of enjoying the situation of the time, and the Christmas music that's playing over the area. What traditions do you have, Adam, that you enjoy during the season?
Traditions, we tend to have like Christmas markets in the UK. Like, we kind of have like these stalls that I've in my hometown in Nottingham, like up country in the UK. We have like like a German Christmas market, and I used to love going to there, and having like, because it's a different thing. We don't always see, like, say German cuisine in the UK, so it's quite nice, quite festive. Like mulled wine. You ever tried mulled wine? Or it's like orange, and it's like star anise. It's like an alcoholic drink, but it's called mulled wine.
I've never tried it. You said it's orange?
It's they add orange to it. It's alcoholic, but they add like
Yeah.
orange to it. It's star
The
anise.
fruit orange. It's not the color of it's
Yeah,
not orange. It's the fruit. They add the
the
actual
fruit.
fruit orange.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's a wine in Germany.
I don't know if it's from Germany. I don't know where it originates from, but I know it's like a Christmassy drink that we have over here. So
Hmm.
that's quite nice. And Christmas markets, they have like lights turned on, so they have like Christmas trees up with lights, lights switched on. So I tend to go to those like Christmas markets. Sometimes they're very very busy, so I mean it depends how how you feel on the day. But yeah, that's what we kind of tend to do. And then like, what do I tend to do? I'll have Christmas with my family, and I'll probably go to my girlfriend. So I kind of have like kind of two Christmases in a way. But I know not everyone does that, and everyone has their own routine. But it's interesting, to see what different countries do and what people do, isn't it?
Absolutely is.
What do you do?
Oh, well, before I answer that question, I want to ask you a question about the Christmas markets, because I love food. What kind of German cuisines are we talking over there?
They have well, there's sausages. Can't remember the name of them. Those quite, the long sausages they have, like the really long
Hmm.
ones. They'll have like beer and like steins, chocolate, pastries, and they have like, yeah, that's all I can remember really. But they do loads more like donuts, like fresh. Like I know donuts are more American, but they
Hmm.
usually have them there. But yeah, mainly like sausages and hot dogs and crispy onions and like pulled
Like
pork.
bratwurst.
Yeah,
Yeah, what you're describing is stuff that we have in October. We call it Oktoberfest, and we have German influence coming in with different types of beers and different people wearing lederhosen and all kinds of good stuff. So it's interesting. Do you have the Oktoberfest as well, or is this more of a Christmas thing for you guys?
they we have Oktoberfest over here, but I don't think it's as big. I mean, I know pubs and restaurants take advantage of it. Some
Mm.
pubs will have an Oktoberfest event where I think the people will dress up. Because I know when I worked in a bar once, they had like an Oktoberfest thing. So I mean, it's not a massive, massive thing, but I think there are some festivals. I mean, the UK is quite big on festivals, so there'll be like festivals and music and things like that around that period. But then there'll be like Christmas festivals and music in certain places.
Yeah, dude, I love, the different cultures, the German culture, all kinds of cultures. I live in a melting pot of area where there's culture from all over the world that come live in the area I live in Long Beach here. And so as a result, we have some great food that I love. So I'm always exploring different foods. So when you talked about German cuisines, I'm very curious on what you were talking about, because I love to partake in that kind of thing. But going back to your question about my traditions in Christmas time, well, it's changed it's changed a little bit. Over the years. My father passed away a couple years ago, so I used to spend Christmas Day with my father, and I would do Christmas Eve with my mom's side of my family. My mom and dad have split for gosh, probably close to 25 years or so. Um, so I've always done kind of a split Christmas that way, where I'd spend Christmas Eve with my mom's family, and then my dad side of the family, we didn't have very many, so normally I would spend it just with him on Christmas Day. Um, so the last couple of years, I'm just kind of finding my bearings with that, uh, due to the fact I don't have my father anymore. So it's kind of starting a different tradition on that. I think leaning on my friends a little bit more on Christmas Day. I think a couple years ago, I went over to a friend's house and was with their family, and I'm really close to their kids. Matter of fact, I'm godfather to their oldest daughter, so I'm very close with them. So I think the past couple of years I've been spending Christmas Day with them. I'm not sure if that's the case this year. I don't know what they're actually doing. But yeah, so in my life, I've had to deal with the losing a loved one, and kind of changing that tradition. And what I do for myself in that situation, I try to Think about, some positive memories that I shared with my father on Christmas Day, and hold those memories bright, and celebrate it, and not look at it as a sad day, but celebrate it. Just think about them in a positive light, and move on with a different tradition. And I think that's helped me, but not forget the past traditions I had with my father, and just think about the good times. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's important, isn't it? Like thinking of the good times and the memories, and and doing things for yourself, and not forgetting those good times. Is key and important. And I think in the recent years, and also it's nice that you can go visit your friends and do things as well. I think that's important, and things. But like in the recent years, I used to work in hospitality, so I was always working during that period. So like I used to like it, seeing other people, having fun with their family, and kind of adding value to that experience. But that was quite, it used to be quite a stressful period because you might not have enough staff, and people want to get the service right. So only in the last couple of years, I've been able to have Christmas time with family more so. But I tend to have it with my mum and my brothers that I live with. My grandparents come over, and you usually go for a walk. I think it's quite a big thing. I don't know if people do it in the States, but people usually go for like a walk, Christmas Day walk or something, or they'll go to the beach on a walk or something like that. So we usually do that in the morning, and then have like breakfast, Bucks Fizz, or my usually breakfast like smoked salmon,
Mm,
toast, scrambled egg.
I love it. Smoked salmon. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I,
doing it
I
up.
yeah, smoked salmon, scrambled egg, book like prosecco. What else? And that's about it for breakfast. And then like uh, my mum's side all vegetarian or vegan, well vegetarian mostly. So I've like corn roast, which don't mind. It's not the same as turkey, in my opinion, or things like that. But yeah, it's I quite enjoy it. I think the only thing that I don't like is that I find that you can lose track of time and what day it is. Because I've got holiday booked over Christmas for work, and I know that I'll probably forget what day it is, or over Christmas everything's kind of up in the air. Then after Christmas, it's like it hits you in the face, and you're like, oh, okay, well it's January now. Okay, do you find that, or have you found that in the past?
Absolutely. And you brought up memories. We're talking about being in the hospitality industry. I was in the hospitality industry. I worked for Disneyland, and talk about stressful with the staffing issues. Man, it was brutal. And I'll never forget it to this day, because they play that same parade that they did when I was working there. And I have memories, anxiety memories of that parade, and it brings it back when I hear the song they sing, due to the fact that right before the parade, I worked on Main Street, the beginning of the park there, and that's where they would have the parade. So right before the parades, my area for food was busy because people wanted to get their food in before they watched the parade. So we would be lines out the door, and I remember after, when the parade started, then it would die down, and I would hear the song that would sing, and I would just like be exhausted because we went intense for the last 2 hours of helping all these people. So I know that feeling, and I know that feeling of not being able to be there for the full day, for the holiday period with your family because you had to go to work. I remember, trying to maybe do it before work or after work if everybody was still up. That was the problem with for me though, is like I would get home and everybody would already be in bed because I'd be getting home around 11 or 12 at night. So that was tough. But I was young, and it was fun to kind of do the work, like you said. You mentioned the fact that a lot of people were having joy. I mean, Disneyland's the happiest place on earth. So, it was fun to living through the eyes of the families that were there. And I tried my best to keep that attitude that way because, hey, I'm providing a service here. I'm getting paid to do a service, to to extend that magic, so to speak. And it was important that I did that, even though sometimes I felt like, oh man, I'm kind of stressed out the deal, but I made it through it. But overall, it was pretty fun stuff. As far as what we do for eating, generally on Christmas Eve, normally we do more of a Hispanic, Mexican cuisine. So we do tamales and enchiladas and tacos and burritos and stuff like that. And My family, I know that there's a lot of families that with Christmas Eve, they don't really go to bed. I mean, they just spend time with each other and they kind of just fall asleep together, and cool. And that's a kind of a cool thing for them. My family's not that way. They like to go to bed. So generally speaking, I think we normally cut Christmas Eve around 9 or 10, and kind of go our separate ways. And then Christmas Day, probably a lot more mellow for me. I love walks. So you mentioned that's a thing in the UK that you guys go for walks. I love walks. I go to walks all year round. I just enjoy it. It helps me be present. I'm thankful to be in a climate where you can walk all year round, so to speak. And even in the wintertime, you might have to wear more coats, but it's still definitely doable, which is a beautiful thing. So yeah, I love to take walks and stuff. So, but interesting that the fact though, I don't know if you feel this way, Adam, but sometimes I feel a little low right after the Christmas season because you're in that period before New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and you kind of feel a lull on it. And so to speak, people like to have New Year's resolutions and that type of thing. And I think that sometimes I do and other people do feel that pressure on putting that on us. And has helped me through that period of time is I like to set resolutions all year round. I like to work all year round so that when January hits, I'm not doing anything different. I'm still working hard and doing the things that I'm doing, and I'm not putting that extra pressure on myself. I think that I've learned that footing through the years. I don't know about you, how you feel about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. You mentioned with like New Year's resolutions, I think there's a lot of pressure on people to, think, oh, I need to set a New Year resolution. And, I will set, I have some New Year's resolutions in mind that I want to work towards. But, half the time I'll write down like a list of like 20 different things. And then sometimes you find you haven't even done half the things you've written down. So I think it's, by maybe breaking them down and probably doing one at a time, it's easier, but you shouldn't have to, I think, do it because it's the new year. I think, like you said, it should be an all year round thing that you just do, to set goals and tasks and things like that to try and work towards. Because I think, like, I found that like in the new year, there's like can be sometimes a slump period. I mean, I think, last year I spent a lot of money on, probably gifts for people and things, which, I don't mind. But then sometimes there's, you think, oh God, I've only got so much left or whatever. But it's that, because it's that excitement, isn't it, for that period? And then you might be like, oh, I've got to go back to work. And, there's that as well. I luckily enjoy what I do. It is stressful at times, but it's that you spend time with your family and and you're not thinking about work or other things that you have to face. And it is, I think, a difficult time afterwards for a lot of people. I would say like January is like the longest month or something like that, or the hardest, I think, month because it's after Christmas. And I think people is also with that. People like putting up the Christmas decoration. There's like, enjoyment in that. It feels good. It was festive. So when you're taking it down, it's quite sad because you become attached to that kind of environment and that feeling, if that makes sense. And some people are even putting up decorations now, and I think it uplifts I know some people who put them up early, and it helps how they feel in their mood. So it's I think there's many factors that come into that. I think obviously people might indulge more, eat more, they might drink more, and it's that kind of come down from that, isn't it? Really, I think as well.
Oh yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the head with that come down feeling. This merriest time of year, or however you want to call it, during the Christmas season, and then it's just okay. Now it's over. Now, like you said, put away your Christmas decorations and then move on with yourself. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of depression that sets in a little bit there, but you know, how I look at it is there's always something to look forward to. I mean, I think that January is a new beginning. You can start over, you can start fresh. You can start fresh any month. But you just look at that as January starting fresh and giving yourself that grace, that if you are feeling that depression or whatever feels that you're feeling, give yourself that grace to give you that time to say, you know what, I'm in my feels right now, and it's okay to be in your feels. It's perfectly fine. But when you start to go down that rabbit hole, start to think about the gratitude or the great things that are going on in your life, because January can be a great spring step for a beautiful year for yourself. And if you fall, with your resolutions, oh well, no big deal. No big deal. It's just a resolution that you had within yourself. You know what? And sometimes with these resolutions, you're learning different things about yourself. And I think that's the most important thing. We're a work in progress till the day we die. We got to remember that we're human beings. We make mistakes. And sometimes when we set resolutions and we go down that path, we realize that's not what we wanted to do. And that's okay, right? I mean, we tried it and it didn't work, and we move on. And I think that is the best thing to do. And the best, and another thing, the best thing to do is have goals all year round. Set different things. Make yourself uncomfortable all the time. That way, you're not putting so much pressure on yourself in January that you have to do some grandioso thing. You do it all year round, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, no, I exactly agree. And I think like, it can be all year round. And some goals or things that we set might take longer than a year. You might not get them done in 6 months. It might take longer than that. It depends what it is. And it's okay if you don't get those certain things done. There's always, next time around. And I think, like you said, there shouldn't be that much pressure put on people to get things done. And I think some people might, everyone's different, but some people might feel like they have to set goals because another person's setting goals or whatever, and or a certain amount of goals, and it's quite a deep personal thing within yourself, isn't it? And you can set these anytime, and like in January, like talking about like low points, and it is a clean slate. I like January as well. It's a clean slate, like you said, and it's a fresh start where you can kind of seize new opportunities and things like that. I mean, last January was hard for me because I caught COVID. So I had Christmas and then I had COVID for like, after New Year's Eve. And then the laws here, we had to self isolate, I think it was. So I was, in my girlfriend's place, and it was the longest period, that we spent together, because we like, dating and things like that and seeing each other the weekends. So, I mean, that when you spend time with someone for a long period of time, you're not used to it, in a relationship, that can be a challenge because you just both not used to it. But, I pull through and things like that. But I feel like, I feel like we learned something and grew in that period. But that was difficult. I think a lot of people around that period as well were getting COVID. And I mean, I don't want to talk about COVID on the whole podcast, but, that was, I think, a tricky time last year. But yeah, it's what you make it, isn't it? I think at the end of the day, it's what you make with your time and what you choose to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So you made a good point. Was with the isolation. So how did you guys make that work? I mean, sure, there was a more of a higher communication between the two of you to make it work, I would imagine, right? Because you know, using the same bathroom. So, the toothbrush and the toothpaste, I'm sure she puts it a certain way and you put it a certain way, and how you make your bed, and everything like that. So how did you get through those times? Because I'm sure there was some frustration between the two of you because of that, because you're in a situation where you're learning with each other at a rapid pace. So how'd you guys make that work?
No, that's a good question. I think it's just communication, really, like you said, and talking about things and just being open. And like I said, we've all got different ways of doing things, and we'll behave differently. So I mean, yeah, there's frustrations, or people clash and stuff like that. But I think just talking through things and just communicating, really, I think that's key. In relationships, I think that's key with ourselves, isn't it? Communicating and listening to ourselves with what we feel is right, that the right thing to do, and kind of following that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, especially when you're dating, when you're first dating somebody, you both have your best foot forward, your best impressions. But when you're put in a pressure cooker, so to speak, is what you were put in with your girlfriend, the mask, so to speak, is taken away, right? You're seeing your true selves. And I think from good or bad, and I think that's could be a good thing, right? Because if you're in a situation where you look at it and you're like, you know what, maybe we're not compatible, because of X, Y, and Z. But another situation is, wow, we went through this, it was tough, but you know what, our love is growing stronger. So it sounds like in your situation, it's brought you two closer together because you were able to work things out. And you're talking about the communications and everything like that. So I think that's a beautiful thing in itself.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see it. I mean, that's a good way of like seeing it. I mean, I think, yeah, things, difficult situations can bring you closer, can't it? And sometimes as a couple, or even as an individual person, like difficult times can force you to grow and learn, which I think is important. And it's always an ongoing process, isn't it? And I just had like one question pop in my head about Christmas. Like, was there anything that a favorite present that you got at Christmas as a kid or growing up, or anything like that, or anything that you ever wanted
Favorite present.
or
If
or
you asked me at
experience?
if you asked me at 12 or 14, I probably could give you an answer on that. That's a tough question now as an adult, what my favorite present is. I have to say that my mom and stepdad are extremely generous during this time of year to me, and I'm very extremely grateful for that. Um, but that being said, I don't have a favorite present that I've gotten. But I will say again how completely generous my mom and stepdad are to me, and extremely grateful for that, and all the stuff that they give. But more than that, it's just kind of um, what I do sometimes with my stepdad and my mom is we'll watch a movie early in the morning together. I mean, my stepdad and my mom, they don't watch movies. That's just not their thing. But one day a year they will, and so it's kind of fun that we kind of do something that's kind of out of the ordinary that we only do once a year. Now, I like to watch movies. I don't watch movies that often, but I do like to watch a movie now and again, way more than they do. So what I normally do is I'll pick a movie that I feel like they'll like, and we'll watch it together, it's kind of a cool thing. Um, but how about you? Is there a present that sticks out in your mind that since you asked that question, obviously there might be an idea in your head.
Uh, to be honest, I really look forward to getting socks and boxer shorts.
You're that kid, aren't
Yeah.
you? You like socks. I can tell you
I
right now, that was my
yeah.
least favorite gift is socks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for for anything, really. Like, I think it's different when you work, and if you want something, you'll get it, yourself. But I like getting like aftershave, like spray. Hope people can hear me. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, aftershave like spray. but like now, like my socks and box shorts kind of, I stay at my girlfriend's place or I stay at my mum's place, and then they kind of like just get distributed, and then we end up like losing them. So that's kind of what I like. I like it's always good. But I think like yeah, like I like watching Christmas movies. I like watching family. We tend to watch like Elf quite a lot.
I love the Elf.
Um,
That's a great movie.
yeah, Elf, Home Alone.
Another great favorite of mine.
Yeah. You say Die Hard? Say Die Hard meant to be like a Christmas movie. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a controversial topic, right? Or a lot of people say that it is or it isn't. And I feel like it is what it is. I mean, if you feel it is a Christmas music movie, then it is. If you feel it's not, then it's not. I mean, it's just eye of the beholder there. Yeah, Die Hard's a. It's been a while since I've seen Die Hard, but I'm a big Bruce Willis fan, and um, you're a little younger than me, Adam, but the other guy on that the other actor there, he was on a show I used to watch as a kid called Family Matters. So that brings me back as well. Um, but yeah, no, Die Hard's a great movie. What else? Home Alone, Elf, I watch. I don't know if you watch The Christmas Story. That's kind of a fun one.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was made in the early 80s, but it's quite popular. Matter of fact, the house I just read, the house is for sale. That was made in that
Oh,
movie, and
really?
I guess it was made in Ohio, in the states here. So it's for sale. And it's for sale for several million. I'm like, wow,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Ohio's not known for their high value homes, but I guess in this area it is. I'm not to bag on Ohio. I mean, there's some great spots in Ohio, but generally speaking, a lot of the homes are a little bit more affordable than other areas of the country.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I think like if you have your house in a movie, then it'll probably add value to it. Because yeah, there's loads of films, isn't there? And it's nice to share those experiences with people. Because I watched with my brothers the other day and we laughed. Anchorman,
Anchorman, yeah. Also,
first
so
one.
you're a Will Ferrell fan, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, he's quite good.
Yeah, yeah. Will Ferrell's done some great flicks. I mean, my favorite uh, movie that he was in, he wasn't even the star of it. Two of them actually, that I really love. I don't know if you've watched Old School. Have you seen Old School?
Never heard of that. Is he in that?
Okay.
I have to check
If
it
you like
out.
Will Ferrell, if you like Will Ferrell's movies and you like his humor, check out Old School. He's
Okay.
hilarious in it. And then another movie that I like him in, where he's not really the main character. He was barely in the movie, but he played a great role. Was Wedding Crashers. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I didn't realize he's in that. He's in that, is he?
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You watch it again. He's towards the end of the movie, but the scene that he's in. I mean, he's just a funny guy. Matter of fact, he does not live too far away from me. Obviously,
Oh,
I
wow.
don't live in that
Yeah, yeah,
area
yeah,
that high wealth, but he doesn't live that far away. Matter of
yeah.
fact, when I was working at Disneyland, I saw him
Oh,
with his
wow.
family, which was kind of cool.
With that, when you worked in, I mean, I've been to Disneyland in Florida, and that was a wild place. Like that was, I remember those parades you talk about, and I remember like the energy is like amazing in Disneyland. Like when you was there, did you like feel under pressure at all? Like, I mean, like when you say your first day, or like when you gotta could do the job, like how did you kind of manage that? Do you think you just kind of do it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we definitely felt what was called the pressure. I mean, there was a saying or something that we call we're not called employees, we're called cast members. So we're putting on a show. So if we were on like in the back areas, they call that backstage. Okay. And then when you're in front of the we don't call them customers, we call them guests. So when we're in front of the guests, we're on stage. So we're on. We have to be on. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure on us to perform. I mean, they'd have what's called secret shoppers that would come in and make sure that you hit your points. The things that you had to do was you had to say a two-part greeting, so you couldn't just say hi. You'd say hi, how are you? Something of a two-part greeting. Also, if there was a child there, you had to engage the child, meaning, well, what was your favorite ride, or are you having a good time, or this and that. And then, well, we also had to suggest a sale. So, like, if they brought a pretzel, we'd say, "Would you like cheese with that?" Or if they didn't order a drink, would you like a soda or whatever? So there's things that we had to say to every guest that came by, and we could get in trouble if we didn't do it. And as a matter of fact, if even if it wasn't a secret shopper, guests could go to City Hall and write complaints about us, or hopefully they could write compliments too, but they could do complaints on us. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure on us to perform. Now we did get paid at the time. I don't know what they get paid now, but we got for what minimum wage was when I started working there. We got paid pretty well there, so that part of it was pretty good. Um, and I have friends, but the main thing on that is I have friends that I still are in contact to this day. I love that period of time. We even have our own Facebook group where we kind of chat and catch up a little bit. So I have nothing but great things about working there, and I think it's molded me as an adult in a lot of ways in my business and in my personal life. There's a sense of gratitude that I have to people in the food industry who are serving my food. There's a way that I talk to people because of the fact that I worked in that industry, and I'm sure you feel the same way. There's a sense of respect that you give to those people because you know how hard it is. You know how hard it is working with different people in the public. I mean, there's people out there from different cultures and different backgrounds, and they treat people in different ways. And I'm not saying, a lot of times it wasn't they were being malicious about being mean. It was they're coming from a different culture and they talk to people in a different way. And you had to have thick skin sometimes dealing with people. And there was people, unfortunately, that were not very kind to you, and you kind of had to take it in a graceful manner. I mean, obviously, if it got out of line, obviously, you want to stand up for yourself. But most of the time, it didn't get to that level. But you had to, have a certain level of professionalism and respect, and not cross that line on your end, and not take it personally. It's hard to do. I mean, I remember I got to where they're called leads, and it's basically a manager, and and it was a busy day, and I'm running around pouring ice for everybody, getting everything done. And I remember a guest pulls me aside and says, "You're doing nothing. You're doing shit while your employees are working hard." And I'm like, "Oh my," like, if you only knew what I was doing. Like, I'm just like running around with my head cut off, and you pull me aside to tell me that I'm not doing my job, and I'm just like being lazy. And it's like, wow. I mean, that's totally opposite. I'm running on fumes. I'm doing whatever I can to help my employees, and I had to eat that. I had to just take it. And I don't know what I said. I don't think I said much, but I just took it. And that was situations that I was in sometimes where I felt that way, and sometimes perception's not reality. So, but yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I felt the stress, but overall, I had a great time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's, when you look back on certain jobs and things that, you do throughout life, it might be things like you said, like working in hospitality, working in a shop, it might be, working at Disneyland, whatever it is, you can draw a lot of skills and experience. And I think at the time when you're doing that position or that job or whatever it is, I think you're not aware of it molding you, and growing you and giving you certain skills at the time. But then when you look back at it, you're drawing from those experiences and the things you experience, and you're delivering that in what you're doing now. And I think, like, that hospitality sector, you're in environments and situations that you might not even face in any other job. And this level of stress, I think, especially you probably weren't experiencing other positions to that same amount. And I think like there's a lot of growth in those areas. And I think everyone should be doing, at least a year in hospitality and working with people. There's a lot of communication, like you said, there's people who've standards and expectations. And you're gonna, like I said, have people who might be shitty with you and say things, and you have to kind of, be professional and try and, deal with that situation best you can. And I think sometimes you can kind of think in the back, if you're not careful, you might doubt yourself. And then, but when you've got a job to do or you've got something to deliver, I remember one time we had a function in a hotel, and I remember I put an order through for like scones, like scones, like
I know
pastry.
scones.
Um, and I put too many orders through, so the chef had to make quite a few. And I think there was like three that I didn't need. And he called me like an effing idiot. He's like, "Are you an effing idiot?" to my face. And I was like, "Okay, chef." I was like, he was like, "Yeah, but you're, swearing at me." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, chef. Okay." Swallow that and then go back out to the public,
Mhm.
go to the table. And that was tricky. That was hard. But like you said, through those situations, I don't know, it's how you grow, isn't it? And I think communication is a big thing. I think coping under pressure and communication is what you can take from a lot of things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, stress tests you, and people handle stress in a different way. And in you're talking about the back of the house, the kitchen staff. They can be crusty, I have empathy for people that work back there because it is hard work and it's extremely stressful and it's fast paced and it changes and it pivots, and they have to do this and they feel like they're doing this right, and then all of a sudden somebody comes back and says they don't like it and you redo it and you're like, ah. And you got 6 orders in the back and you have to prioritize. So I mean, I understand that the stress of that level is that, but in the end of the day, what I've learned working back there and working in the front of house, and what I'm doing now, um, you can only do what you can do. You know what I mean? Like if you're giving it 110 and um, it's not there, you just got to tip your cap on it. And the one thing that I've learned when working in hospitality and working in what I do now as a coach and a speaker, is owning it, owning your mistakes and saying, hey, you know what, that's on me. I forgot to put the order in, but I'll put the order in now, and let me see if I can get you a free dessert for my mistake. Same thing with my coaching business. If I do something, that I don't know if that's kind of a different situation, but if in a situation that I do something that people don't like, or when I'm doing a speech and people might feel controversial, which not really, but maybe I say something that might upset somebody. I own it. I own my actions, and I think that when you do that, when you own your actions, and you own it, and you own it with the back of the house too, and you say, hey man, that was on me. Um, for most part, people calm down and do okay, cool, and everything like that, especially with the customers, the guests, wherever you want to call them. If you say that, hey man, I own it, I'm busy. People most of the time have empathy for you. They see it, they see it's busy. Um, and they'll give you slack, but you got to, like you talk about with your girlfriend, you got to communicate. You got to communicate what's going on. And I think if you communicate and do what you have to do, it makes it easier on yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's taking that accountability, isn't it, for your situation and what mistakes we've made. And I think there's a lot of learning in that, isn't there? Taking accountability, making mistakes, and making mistakes is how we learn, isn't it, really? And like I talk to people sometimes, who say looking for a job, or they're trying to find their thing, and might build themselves up to think this is how it's going to go, but it might not go the way they want it, or or they might think this job is for me, but then realize it's not what they want to. How do you think people can move forward with that? Because people trying to find what they want to do, but they don't really know, and they're trying things out and getting knocked back. Because I know I've experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've experienced that in my life as well. And that goes back to giving yourself grace, um, and trying different things out, and trying to temper your expectations for things. Go in there with an open mind and see what it looks like, and don't judge it before you really know what you're getting into. I think is extremely important. And I think that especially for younger people, with society, we have this thing where we want them to know what they're going to be doing for the rest of their lives in their early 20s. And I think that's a disservice, really, because a lot of these kids are going to be totally different when they're getting their 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. They're going to be different people. So to expect them to know what they want to do in their 20s, sometimes I think is asking a little bit much. I mean, there's people out there that do know what they want to do and are excited about it for all their life, and they're lucky and they're grateful for what they're blessed for what that they found what they wanted to do at a younger age. But sometimes people feel their true meanings in their 30s, their 40s, or 50s, and we can't get back down on ourselves about that. The only thing I can say um, is to experience different things and going out and doing everything, and not having this pressure about having to go to college right away. I mean, I think I have a college degree, and I'm glad that I got my college degree, but I feel like there's people out there that are going to college because they feel like they have to, and maybe they should go out and travel a little bit, or get a job, and figure out what they want to do before they go to college, because college is very expensive, and it costs you a lot of money when you're out of it. And the worst thing that could happen to you is you go to college, you get all this debt, and then you get in a job that you really don't like, and you're really stuck because you got to find something, because you got to pay this college debt off. So there's nothing wrong with going traveling a little bit and doing some other things before you go to college, if you're not feeling it. I feel like that's, or not, or going into the trades. I mean, I feel like there's sometimes where people put that down, like they're going into trades, and I think that trades are a great profession. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to be in front of a cubicle or in front of a computer. They want to be out and about building things, and I think that's wonderful. And I think that those are the positions that are going to be hard to be replaced by computers, is working as a plumber, or a welder, or jobs like that. I mean, I think they're so specialized that you need humans to do it. I mean, eventually, maybe in technology that might change, but I think in the foreseeable future, we need humans to do those jobs, and they get paid very well to do those jobs, and they should not be looked down upon them, because a lot of people like to do that, and sometimes they're embarrassed to go down that route because other people saying, "Oh, that's not beneath anybody." You know what? If you want to do that work, it's very good work. You make good money, and you're using your hands. You're building things. I think that's fine. I think it's great that you do it. Follow your passion. Don't worry about what other people think about it.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think following your passion, trying things out, and like you said, finding a trade, is good. And I think, like you said, live life a bit, and try different things out, try different jobs. And if people want to go to college straight away, then fine. But like you said, a lot of people don't know what they want to do straight away, and find out later in life. And we shouldn't feel pressure to go to college because friends, family, or society forces you to be that way. I mean, I went to university in the UK. I did criminology for a couple of months, and I didn't feel like it was for me. I just kind of didn't fit right, and I came back, and came back home and left, and I felt bad for doing that, but I had to kind of follow whatever I felt. And it's a tricky one because a lot of people are under pressure, and yeah, you mentioned it's expensive as well, and then you don't want to be in a cycle where you got all this debt and you're doing something you don't like, and you're caught in that cycle. you can get out of that cycle, but it's not a nice place to be. And like you said, you just need to live and experience a bit and do what's right for you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. There's people that enjoy going to college that don't regret it at all, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
That great, good for you. I mean, I think that's awesome. I think you found what you wanted to do at a young age, and that's great. You're blessed. But other people, it's not that way. Other people need to find some experiences, need to get some work under their belt, need to do different things before they find out what they want to do.
yeah,
And it's okay that you have your passion, and it was your passion in your 20s, your 30s, and maybe it's not your passion in your 40s, and that's fine too. The thing is, we just got to constantly reinvent ourselves and figure out what we really want to do, because we're on this planet for a short amount of time, and a lot of times we're in the past or we're in the future, and where we need to be is in the present, where we need to be right here, right now. So yeah.
yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you're like working on, Paul? You want to you're doing anything, and because I know you've been doing loads of like and coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I just did a real big event, a summit, where we had about 60, 80 people there. And it was all about taking back your story, taking back your pen and writing the story that you want for yourself, not for anybody else, for yourself. And that's the crux of my coaching program. I want people to realize that they're the author of their own story. So it's time to get out of autopilot, take back your pen and write your story how you want to be written, because we're only here on this planet for a short period of time. So yeah, I'm gonna have another one coming up in probably in February. Don't have any solid plans, but I have a Facebook group called Rewrite Your Story, and we do have virtual meetups. Matter of fact, we had one on Wednesday where we allow a space where people can share, and then sometimes we have a special speaker. Like this time, we had somebody talk about the stories that we tell ourselves, which was extremely helpful. This December, I haven't had a date yet, but we're going to talk about goals and what we want for the new year, and maybe have some fun about the holiday season. So that's going on. So Rewrite Your Story Facebook group. I know that Adam, you're a member, and I thank you. I interviewed you on there a few months back, and it went really well. I got a lot of good feedback from it.
No, no, you're most welcome. It's great, being on your show and having those chats. And I love everything that you've been doing. And I think like with your group as well, it's nice that people can share their story and other people can collaborate and get involved as well. I think that's awesome. And I just wish you like continued success with everything you've done. And I'm always grateful to have you on my podcast, to be on your. I'm grateful for our friendship, and it means a lot.
It means a lot to me too, Adam. I was ready for your question. You didn't ask it, but I'm going to say it. I'm reading "Live Like a Monk" by Jay Shetty right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was gonna say to you, do you have any books that you're reading?
Yeah, I'm reading that right now, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really
Nice.
putting some good perspective for me.
Yeah, I think I saw it on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
nice.
great, Adam. I appreciate the time. I know that we got to go. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
sure, sure.
appreciate the time, my friend.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you. It's always
You
been
too.
fun.
You too, man. Take care.
All right.
Cheers,
Bye.
everyone.